Now, moving on to what's brewing today, Bizom, the retail intelligence platform which optimizes distribution processes for retail brands, has announced a Series B funding round of $12 million. It was led by Pavestone, which contributed about $7.5 million, alongside participation from India Mart and an existing investor, as well as other family offices. The funding is going to be directed towards scaling the company's innovations, support the development of delivery mechanisms, and also the expansion of key accounts. For more on this, joining me is the CEO of the company, Lalitg Bhise. Also with me is my colleague, Arundathi. Lalit, welcome to Startup Street. Thanks very much for your time here. Let's start with the $12 million Series B funding. What specific advancements in your AI-driven retail, or rather real intelligence initiative, can we expect now that you have this money in the kitty?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we are looking at is to change the entire route-to-market ecosystem in FMCG. This includes your field sales executives, the retailers, and distributors. Our fundamental belief is that these offline players in this FMCG can digitally empower themselves, and our aim is to make them more intelligent. That is where we are using technologies like AI agents, even augmented reality, virtual reality, to essentially help them make better decisions on the field at the point of inspiration, as we call it, to essentially allow to serve the consumers who are moving more towards online far better through the same offline ecosystem that we have in India for decades.
Right, Lalit, Arundathi stepping in here. The funding will also support the development of delivery mechanisms and the expansion of key accounts. Currently, over 600 retail brands utilize Bizom to digitalize their route to market operations, right? So how many more accounts do you hope to add with this funding, and across which markets?
Right. So, Arundathi, thanks for asking that question. As you would already, so what we say is almost 10% of India's FMCG already flows through Bizom. So when you buy something in a nearby friendly neighborhood kirana store, 1 out of 10 chance that this would have flown through Bizom's ecosystem. So this money is primarily not raised to add more logos as much as it is used to deliver more value to the existing logos that we have, and essentially to make sure that we are able to help consumers buy right products at right price at the right place, or essentially also help the large FMCG companies to sell right products at right place at right price. That's essentially the aim, and that's what, like you correctly mentioned, the money would go towards improving the delivery and key account management practices to deliver more value to the existing accounts of Bizom to a large extent.
Well, Lalit, you're already serving about 30 countries with Bizom. Do you have plans to target new markets as well? What would those be? And how do you plan to scale your delivery mechanism for, a global retail enterprise?
Absolutely. So as you can see, so India has about 15 million unique mom and pop retailers, or as we call it as kiranas, right? It's the largest ecosystem in the world. So once Bizom started working in India, became a market leader in India, it became very easy for us to scale across other emerging markets, whether they're in Southeast Asia, Middle East, or Africa. And that's essentially what large FMCG companies started doing, where it started taking the best practices from India and then replicate it to their other emerging market economies using a platform like Bizom. And that's how we already expanded to about 30 odd countries. Today, from a delivery point of view, the way we look at it is there are key strategic geographies where we are setting up our own teams, like in Dubai for EMEA, or for Jakarta in Indonesia for ASEA. And from there, we are building a network of channel partners who will do individual delivery in individual countries as we need. So for example, we have a channel partner for Vietnam, we have a channel partner for Saudi Arabia, we have a channel partner for Nigeria, and so on and so forth. So those are the partners who help us extend our implementation and delivery services in those specific geographies or markets. And this money will essentially help us build and scale more such partnerships, relationships, apart from allowing us to expand our teams in the key strategic geographies.
Right. And Lalit, what sort of revenues and profit growth have you had in the last few years? And at what pace is the business expected to grow from here on out?
So Bizom, for us, COVID COVID essentially pushed a lot of our brands into the digital transformation overdrive, as we call it, because everybody became aware that without digital, the business is going to be hard in future. So that fueled our growth over last 3 to 4 years. We have been growing at good 50-60% year on year over last 2 to 3 years. We intend to maintain that growth rate, and even we obviously hope that we will even accelerate it even further from there.
Well, Lalit, how are you seeing, overall, if you step back, the retail commerce landscape? Because, increasingly the commentary we are hearing from the large FMCG players that you service as well, offline traditional stores are grappling with the challenges because of the rise of quick commerce. Tell us what you're seeing on ground and how are you supporting these traditional companies?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that question. So as you can see, the quick commerce has already kind of proven that consumers are rapidly moving towards online way of purchasing daily needs or groceries and stuff like that. So consumers definitely prefer online. But our fundamental belief as a company is that when this is done at a scale, it's not the separate quick commerce companies building their separate supply chains. It's the actual original supply chain of India, whether it is the mom and pop shop owners, whether it's a traditional distributor, wholesalers, they will be the ones who will still be able to serve the consumers moving online. Like one of my favorite author, Rama Bijapurkar says, India is an and country. It's not an or country. It's not that quick commerce is going to kill the kirana. It is that quick commerce and kirana will exist side by side, the same way modern trade has existed along with kirana side by side. And essentially the kiranas will digitally empower or evolve themselves to serve even an online consumer. And that's the area we focus on. And that's why I mentioned a lot of our money goes also towards building those tools and enablement products and making those kiranas and the ecosystem more intelligent to allow them to sell online in the world that is moving more and more towards consumers preferring online purchases in general, as quick commerce has already proven. So I don't think quick commerce will replace kirana. Quick commerce is an additional mechanism for a particular niche consumers that exist in apartment complexes in urban areas.
Right. And Lalit, what are your long-term plans for Bizom, especially with the new year coming, the key milestones you want to sort of target in the next 3 to 5 years?
Right. So in next 3 to 5 years, we have very, very simple areas that we are looking at. Apart from existing our SaaS business, which essentially digitalizes the route to market ecosystem for brands and continue to grow that at 50-60% year on year, we are also helping our brands to put their products in the right kirana category to connect them to online demand generation, like an ONDC, for example, right? So our hope is that we are able to build an ecosystem where there are million retailers in India who are digitally connected through supply chains. Out of that, about 100,000 or 1 lakh out of them, we are empowering them with credit kind of a products in our ecosystem. And this is something Bizom can already do with their connects with about 8 million odd kiranas in India. So out of that 8 million, we would like to convert about $1 million on a fully digitalized supply chain, or sorry, million outlets on a fully digitalized supply chain, and about 100,000 out of them even empowered with products like digital credit.
Well, Lalit, you've given us a picture of how business might pan out, and we asked you earlier about your revenue and profit projections, but we were wondering if you had any plans to go public. I mean, that seems to be the case with many of the startups in this space. We've seen a flurry of listings, especially in the last month of the year. Over the next 3 to 5 year horizon, does an IPO feature anywhere in your plans?
So IPO will happen when it has to happen. I think IPO has many other constraints. So we are not building company to for IPO or an exit. That happens when it happens, when it's the right time, is how I would put it. And if, like you correctly said, if you are profitable and growing, being IPO is always a choice. We are fortunate to have a public company on our cap table like IndiaMart, who obviously helps us, guides us in the right time to go live. I would say typically as a small business, we are looking very detailed for next 1.5 to 2 years. So I don't see us going public in next 1.5 to 2 years. Beyond that, who knows? I mean, fingers crossed, maybe that's the right time to go public and we get multiples like Unicommerce. We'll all be happy about it.
Well, and we'll wait to see when that happens. Lalit, thank you very much for your time here on Startup Street today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Well,